Hey everybody, Steve Colescott here for elitefts.com. We are with someone that's familiar with all of you, John Mountain Dog Meadows, the half child of Darkseid, or Thanos. wrong comic book character. It's Thanos, Darkseid's cousin. And with Santana Anderson, who some of you have seen, he's been out here a couple of times and trained with Dave and John, and he might have been the guy that did the last bit on his hip and encouraged him to just destroy that joint.
I hear he'll be back soon, though.
And to put this in time reference, Dave had his hip replaced yesterday, so he's out of things right now. You guys have been working. Santana, tell us a little bit about your background prior to going pro.
I guess.
And about you. And
from East Coast of Canada, Halifax, Nova Scotia. I guess I started competing 2002, 2003. Had a couple fair years, and then won my provincial show. That would be the equivalent to the state show, and so that qualified me for nationals for lifetime. So I went to nationals, I think the last time, 2006. And I didn't think I was going to compete anymore after that. Took about 3 or 4 years off, finished university, got married, had a baby, did all that life stuff, and then 2010 was around Christmas time. I started training a little bit harder again and got ready for nationals in, I think it was August, and ended up winning the overall, getting my pro card. So since then, I've competed 3 times as a pro. First time was Toronto, and then a week later, that was 2011. A week later, after the Toronto, I did Tampa. Not really great showings, probably middle of the pack. 18 guys, I was 11th and 12th. And then last year I did FIBO and did a little bit better. It was a little bigger show and I came in 9th. So since then I started working with John. That would have been in July, I believe, of 2012. And we've been going straight since then.
Okay. John, when Santana and you hooked up together, what was your assessment of him on what things he needed to work with and what type of athlete you were working with?
Well, when he sent me the first set of pictures, there was 2 things that really jumped out of him. Number one was this guy has a lot of muscle. He's a big, thick guy, a lot of muscle. We're going to have to train really, really hard and smart to gain more muscle. The second thing that jumped out of me was his waist was on the blocky side. So, one of the things that we talked about also that Santana mentioned was he didn't want to blow up and, get to 260, 270 or 280. Just for general health reasons, I'm kind of in the same boat. Carrying around a bunch of extra weight doesn't really do you any good. Mm-hmm. So I thought, this is good because his waist will be able to tighten up a little bit from not blowing up and getting so heavy in body weight. But what we wanted to do was kind of streamline his midsection, which is not easy to do. And then also Santana's torso and his legs in particular are really good, and where he lags is his arms. So we've been working hard on his arms. Not anything, anything outside of what we would normally do. But I just thought that the style of training that he'd be doing would work well. And the last time actually he was down here, you could see in his form some of the little subtle nuances that needed corrected. Like, remember when you're curling?
Yeah.
You could see almost the bicep would lose contraction, the front delt would take over. So, so in terms of working on his arms, it wasn't a situation where we said we're just going to throw the kitchen sink at it, train him all the time, which is a viable option for some people. It was more of, let's work on form. Yesterday we were playing around with different movements to hit different parts of the tricep, the long head, the lateral head, and so forth. So that and then the other thing, in Santana's first batch of information he sent me was, occasionally he has some digestive issues, which is extremely common in our sport, particularly from people that power shove. That my term for just constantly eating just for the sake of putting on weight. And so,
what type of nutrition program are you following prior to that?
Like off season, I'd be trying to get in 7,000 calories a day, and be a fair bit of clean food. But then there'd be a lot of extra food on top of that, and there'd be dessert every night, and so it wasn't really a good weight. You know what I mean? I get that heavy, and then I ended up dieting down back to about the same weight I was the year before. So it just didn't seem like there was any rhyme or reason to it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's been my experience with most people. I don't want to say everybody, but the large majority of people, there's a diminishing return where you just eat for the sake of eating and gain weight for the sake of gaining weight, and it doesn't really do anything except stretch your stomach out.
Yeah.
So your body can only absorb so many nutrients, and it's pretty cool now, because if you look at his calories now, they might fluctuate between 3,700 and 4,000. But he's grown though. I mean, you can look at his pictures and you can see his hamstrings are thicker, his back's thicker. You can see growth with less calories. So what that tells me is his body wasn't necessarily absorbing and using all the calories he was eating before, plus just the pure fact that it was just forcing them down wasn't good for his digestive system. So we've kind of got those things, we fine-tune them a lot better now, and things are going well.
Okay. So is it safe to say that it might be just more higher nutrient as well? If you're cutting out the crap, you're getting more nutrients with the
more nutrient dense
calories,
food for sure. And I found different food selections, like switching over to the grass-fed beef and stuff like that. Okay. Wild caught salmon, like just better choices of food as opposed to just calories for the sake of calories.
Did you figure out any foods that were particularly bad with him?
The only thing I can think of off the top of my head is I think we've backed down oats and maybe sweet potatoes on a few occasions and replaced it with cream of rice.
Okay.
Cream of rice is just
rice is one of the least allergenic foods out there.
Yeah, and it's just cream of rice is just granulated rice. So, and then I think like within a week it was boom, right back to been in good shape.
And how do you tolerate carbs in general? Are you a medium carb, low carb?
I think beating myself up with carbs in the past has made me a little more carb sensitive. So carbs aren't on the low end by no means, but they're not like 700 or 800 like they were before. So I wouldn't say, and the bulk, there's a good bulk that come around the training, that peri-workout nutrition. So.
Okay. And where are you at with your programming right now, as far as what are you getting ready for something?
I think it'll be another 2 or 3 weeks, and we're going to start a 20-week prep, I believe, and that'll be towards Tampa Bay, second week of August, and then a week later in Dallas.
Okay. And do you have a game plan set in place for that year?
Well, the nice thing is Santana's in really good shape right now. So the 20 weeks, when you say a 20-week prep, it's not 20 weeks of grueling dieting. It's really fine-tuning. And if I were to take a guess on what his body fat now is, I would say 8%. He's right where he needs to be. So right now the game plan is to not do any massive reductions in carbs and fat. Nothing drastic. I don't think anything drastic is needed. It's just going to be fine-tuning. I don't see the need right now for much cardio. Maybe we'll do a little, but I don't think that's something that would be a benefit, doing tons of cardio. So, he's in a good place right now because, going from 8% to 5%, we could probably push the gas, and we could probably do it in 6 to 8 weeks. Maybe lose a little bit of muscle, but he might actually, we find this a lot with people, he might actually gain another few pounds of muscle that last 20 weeks. So I think the main thing right now is we wanted to get to a place where nothing drastic was needed, and I think that's where we're at.
Okay. Santana, what's can you look back at, since you started working with John, what foods have you eliminated other than we mentioned the oats and
like desserts every day. I don't eat a lot of chicken. You know what I mean? Like there was a lot of chicken, and that's more of a preference thing, I think. What else would have irritated me? There's no pastas or anything in there. It's just generally like rice, a little bit of oats here and there, some easy kill bread, but and a lot more beef. Fatty sources of protein. Eggs, I've started doing whole eggs, and I feel great on them. So.
And John, you're known for choosing healthy fats. Have you adjusted your fat intake, the types of fats you're?
Yeah, like I said, the egg yolks I'll have, almond butter, that's a big part. What else? Coconut oil. I think that's about it for the healthy fats. And then I get some good saturated fats from the beef and whatnot. So.
Okay. And as this prep continues, John, what type of things do you look at? How often do you touch base with him, and when do you make those adjustments?
Once we get to 20 weeks out, it becomes pictures every week instead of every other week. And one of the things that I like to do is I like for somebody to take their fattest area and do a skin fold on it. I know a lot of people think that calipers aren't really accurate. It's not that you want it to be, this is going to sound funny, but I'm getting somewhere with this. It's not that you need the caliper to be accurate. You need the time you do it, the exact technique you do it. That's what needs to be accurate, so you can
Consistency
see,
with
so you
that.
can see trending. So if somebody has a 10 millimeter reading on their subscap, really they're 12. It doesn't matter. What matters is, does that 10 go to 9? Does that 9 go to 8? You're just looking for trending. So it's real important that the person does it the exact same way. So what we do is we'll just pick one area, his fattest area. Like for me personally, I do my subscap. And if your fattest area is going in the right direction, you're fine. You're always going to be fine. And I don't bother with, like in his case, like his legs or his arms. Of course they're going to be lean. Take the fattest part. If it's going in the right direction, you're fine. Ideally, you don't need to make a lot of adjustments. So that's what we'll do, though. Every week there'll be, Santana's really meticulous about pictures. So we'll take a skin fold. I'll look at his body weight, but really what I'm looking for when somebody weighs herself is I'm just looking to cut off. I'm looking to stop something if there is something drastic that happens. So in other words, if he weighs 240 and the next week he weighs 230, that's a red light to me. Hey, something's wrong here. It's not that I care that it's just you want to cut off if something crazy is happening in somebody's body. That's why I use a scale. So, I basically use all the things that people don't use. I use a scale, I use calipers, but the way I do it is a little different. And of course, pictures, pictures don't lie. As long as they're done in the same lighting, the same time,
Yeah.
There's all this, it's all about consistency and taking information and just looking at it and seeing what changes are made. And, so we'll see how it goes.
Okay. With the mountain dog training, tell us your thoughts on that. What he's had you do with your training program and the results you've gotten from that.
I think the biggest part for me with the training, like I was doing last year, I would have done high intensity training, so low volume. I wouldn't be in the gym very long, so it seemed with that kind of training, to get ready for a show anyway, I needed to do a ton of cardio because I'd be there maybe 30, 45 minutes to do a body part. So now the biggest part for me is it's fun, you know what I mean? It's with the new programs every week and the different setup, it's really challenging. And there's no monotony in going to the gym. So I think by having that variety, it's twofold. It gets you motivated. You're excited to get in there, see what your new workout is for the week, and by having that intensity up, I think your body responds a lot better, and it takes away the need of pounding away on an hour or two of cardio every day.
Okay.
Yeah.
John, do you find that people that come to you for the training side of things, do you have any people that just can't do it? That's just they don't have the mental side to push it the way you need?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's not meant for beginners. There's sets that we work in, we call challenge sets, and that's where, like if we're doing a set of squats or deadlifts where we're just going to do as many reps as we can until we just fall over. And, quite frankly, not everybody has the capacity to do that. Some people, the interesting thing is some people, their nervous system gets shot so easy. To me, that's almost like if you were to ask me about genetics, like what's the worst genetic trait you can have, what always pops up first in my mind is somebody with a really weak central nervous system. They can't even push herself without being completely dead the next day. So there are some people that, do fit into that, and, I try to be real upfront with people and say this isn't meant for beginners or intermediates. It takes heart. So.
Well, something that's pretty common with our readers, being that we have a lot of power lifters, they talk about GPP, which is another word for, it can almost be exchanged with conditioning. One of the things that I always think of when I think of Mike Mentzer and the high intensity training, the stuff that you had done earlier and that we've all played with at some point, is that Mike Mentzer always talked that you have this level that you have to reach, but he never talked about improving that ability to withstand more. Do you think that that's a factor in things? And do you think that obviously how much of that is genetic and how much is just that people haven't built their GPP enough to withstand what you do?
Well, so a couple things. I get people, I like to do leg curls before squats. I'll get people that the first couple weeks, their squat is way down just from doing leg curls. That tells me that their GPP is not good. If a couple sets of leg curls wear you out for squats, there's a problem.
Yeah.
That's not good. That's very common though. But then as you progress, the third week, the fourth week, the fifth week, and then those same people are sending me emails saying, wow, now I'm doing more than I was doing. So you can definitely improve it. The other part is some of the stuff we do that really pushes you to the limit, there's something that, for a lot of people, something clicks. And it kind of turns their passion on for training. And when you have this passion and this drive to really do it, you can do more. I wish I could come up with some cool scientific equation to explain how that works. But the bottom line is when somebody does something they didn't, like somebody might, put 315 on the bar, they're squatting, maybe the most they've ever done is 6, and then all of a sudden they do 13, and they're just on cloud 9. Like,
Yeah.
Man,
They see what's possible.
They see what's possible. So it kind of wakes them up. It wakes up this passion in them, and then they start to expect more from themselves. So they come into the gym the next time, and they know that maybe the limitations they were putting on themselves before, they could exceed that. And a lot of people do get that. It just varies how much they get it. There's one end of the spectrum like Dave. Dave is at the very top end of the spectrum. He's going to do everything. He is so passionate. He's going to do everything he can to milk every ounce of everything in his body. And certainly we don't expect everybody to be like that. But one of the coolest things about working with people is when you can when you read their emails and you talk to them and you get this sense that it's clicking for them now.
Yeah.
Now they got it. Now they're going to be all right. So.
Excellent. Well, thanks to both of you. We're going to be watching you progress in your career, and we see you every weekend, John. We enjoy, the things you share. It's obvious that your training system is evolving, and it's from working with people at all levels, and especially the top end people. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.